Fade out 1. Fade in 3.
Pizza Flicks Television Division presents
An invitation we ain't got all night.
I could sure use a sniff.
Oh, stop whining. Now cut the glass and don't trip the alarm. Come on, come on. Now, don't take any chances with that booby trap. By the time he gets through conning himself a hot dog, we could lift a gold-plated piano. Now, don't forget nothing. I'm gonna go get the heap.
Not all the mobs I went up against during those lawless years of the 20s were hoodlums and racketeers. No, sir. For instance, there was this outfit of jewel thieves that ran up a score of $6 million in loot over a period of 5 years. The M.O., modus operandi, was the same on each job they pulled. The M.O. indicated as plain as a fingerprint that it was this mug. Red Morin. But the law hadn't been able to hang anything on him. Mostly because he had Miles Miller for a mouthpiece. Miller was a real big brain in the business of defending high-powered criminals. In fact, he was so smart that when he went away, he was responsible for a great contribution to law enforcement. The state legislature fixed it so that no future big brain could dream up the same kind of a stunt.
Take the car.
Well, what you gonna do, Red? What you gonna do?
Stop sniveling and hand me the bag.
Right. Listen, you're gonna meet me, ain't you, Red? Red, you're gonna meet me, huh? Hey, Red, you understand, don't you, Red?
Understand what?
Well, the Flatfoot. I had no choice. It was him or me.
I told you once, I told you a dozen times. Nobody uses a rod on my jobs. Now give it to me.
Red, I'm a 3-time loser. Know how it is?
Yeah. I know how it is. Since when is there a law against a guy getting an urge to take the L to Coney Island to get a Nathan's hot dog?
You always give in to your urges, Red?
Sure, like I'm gonna have a baby. So do me something.
Officer Jensen was eating a hot dog. What are you gonna tell his wife and kids? He had an urge?
Jimmy, come on.
What's the matter with you guys? Every time somebody knocks over a joint, you pick me up.
Well, that's fame, Red. You got a big reputation in your line.
Like I told your partner here, I retired. So help me.
Mm-hmm. It's a $200 suit you got on. That piece of ice on your finger must cost about $1,000. That's retired?
Yeah, these threads set me back about $250, but you're pretty close on the rock. I've been lucky. The GGs. They've been coming in the way I pick them. Suppose there's a law against that, too.
Come on, Red, don't give me that double talk. It's not the ponies you've been lucky with. You got yourself a smart fence, right?
No use arguing with you, Sergeant. You're right. Right is right. That's why I reformed.
And on the other hand, every other time we've had you in here for a little get-together, a cozy chat, there never was a murder involved, right?
Right. No, wrong. Barney, don't rattle me. You know I never carried a heater in my life. A rod is for goons.
Like Sheik Feeders, huh? A junkie, a jewel thief, a three-time loser?
He's the fellow that shot the cop. I hope he gets what he deserves.
Red, can you look me right in the eye and tell me you don't know Sheik Peters?
I don't know Sheik Peters.
You're a pathological liar. You did time together at Joliet for a jewel heist.
I ain't gonna cooperate no more. You can't pin a lousy frame on me. I want to talk to my lawyer.
All right? Right is right. Tell me, Red, where'd you get that plugged nickel you put in the L-turnstile?
Plugged nickel? What do you think I am?
I'll give you the phone after I tell you what I think you am.
I sent my soul through the invisible, some letter of that afterlife to spell. And by my soul returned to me and answered, I myself am heaven and hell. Ah, love, could you and I with him conspire to grasp this sorry scheme of things entire? Would we not shatter it to bits and then remold it nearer to the heart's desire? Happy?
Oh, yes.
A very wise man, Holmakaim. He knew what lurks in the human soul.
Beautiful. All of it, it's like a dream.
No specters to haunt your dream? Out of the past?
I can hardly remember a past when I wasn't what I am now. A lady. It seems that insensitive, dumb kid you picked out of the line at the Club Zero never really existed. Did she?
Daphne DeMarco is proof that we can make of ourselves whatever we desire to be.
Sometimes I can hardly resist the impulse to kiss your hand. I keep asking myself, why did you do it?
You attracted me. I found you irresistible. But why do you ask such a question?
Because I feel like a cheat. I've taken so much from you, and you've given me... You never ask for anything of me in return.
In your fashion, my dear, you have given me a great deal. I'm very satisfied with things just as they are. It must be important. It's my private phone. Forgive me.
I forgive you.
Yes? Where are you being held? Very well. It's a client business. I must go out. Oh, forgive me.
What shall I do?
You may stay right where you are, my kitten, and purr until I return.
Don't be long. Please don't be long.
Legal. Give me the writ so I can file it.
I didn't really need it, did I?
Detective Can will handle it.
You haven't booked my client. Where is he? I find my patience a bit short at this hour.
Oh, come on, what do you want? Sympathy? You're getting paid for your time. But just so your trip down here shouldn't be a total loss, Miles, tell me, how many times in the past 5 years have you acted as go-between?
If I may hazard a guess as to the meaning of your semantics, your question is the number of times I've been the authorized agent for the insurance companies?
Have it your way. But don't you think it's getting a little obvious you paying off those crooks to the tune of $3 million? Oh, I know. They contacted you. You merely set up the deals with the insurance companies for the return of the loot.
You might add, deals the insurance companies were most delighted to make.
If they're happy about it, that's their business. But to me, a cop, it stinks of collusion.
Ah, yes, the cops. You must be most embarrassed by these robberies.
Miles, that jewel heist last night, don't get the idea that's going to be another one of those insurance company payoffs. In case you didn't hear, there was a murder.
Really?
Really. And you can't negotiate for the settlement of a murder. I just suggest you remember that in case any of those crooks try to contact you.
Thank you, Sergeant Ruditsky. I'm fully cognizant of the aspersions you've made.
That thing you call a client is outside.
Sergeant?
You didn't mean for me to bring him in here. This place needs fumigating already.
I should have listened to my mother.
Hey, why?
I want to become a professional man. Spent the nights between nice, clean sheets.
I was desolate and sick of an old passion. I have been faithful to thee, Sarah, in my fashion.
Yeah, between the lips, I get it.
What did you get?
This doll's been reading me. You know, with her, I could take poetry.
Put this with your things, my dear, and don't forget it when I tell you we're leaving town.
You've made up your mind we really are going to Bermuda.
Yes.
What's in here? Something for me?
No, just some things I need for sunbathing, personal. Please respect my modesty.
Like I always say, I have been true to you in my fashion. Get it?
What's so amusing?
That Daphne, she's 1 in a million, boss.
And you know what you are? Stupid. Stupid, 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 Claude.
What did I do?
What did he do? You killed a cop. What else could you have done?
I didn't kill any cop. Like I told you, Peter's panicked.
Oh, that makes everything all right. Stupid. You're supposed to be a pro. You're no better than to partner with a heist artist that's hooked.
I didn't figure it was hooked that bad.
You didn't figure. Oh, how you figure.
Look, I timed that cop for 2 weeks. Now, how can you figure he'll eat and walk at the same time?
Tell me, my valedictorian friend, how did you use such Aristotelian logic in getting rid of Peters?
Oh, simple. I knew he couldn't stand to working over by the bulls. He'd sing like a canary. So I fixed it so he wouldn't sing.
That's why you left the gun.
Well, Ruditsky asked me if I didn't think that Peters had done himself in.
There's only one thing can be done now.
What's that, boss?
Those stones are going out of circulation. No one will ever get their hands on them, including you.
I get nothing?
Nothing. You'll be lucky to keep your head.
Yes, sir. I certainly will, Mr. Pierce. Yes, he's here now. I'll do whatever I can. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Banks, Mr. Henry Banks.
That's right, sir. Mr. Pierce himself phoned me. He's the president of Intercontinental Insurance Company, and It isn't very often that he phones me personally.
I suppose it isn't very often either that you have a $500,000 claim.
Isn't it terrible? Imagine $500,000.
Yeah, it ain't hay.
I beg your pardon?
Oh, I said I'd hate to have to pay it.
Yeah.
So this is where the policy with all the fine print and detail is filed after it's issued. Huh?
Yes, naturally that information is strictly confidential.
I assume there's an inventory of all the items insured attached to each policy.
Well, that's right, Detective Ruditsky.
And any other pertinent, confidential information concerning the business, the premises of the insured.
Yes. Such details have an effect on the premium paid by the insured.
Sure. And you are the keeper of the secrets, huh, Mr. Banks?
Yeah.
Well, that's a pretty important job.
I like to think so.
You mind telling me what the salary is?
$300 a month.
You know, Mr. Banks, if I ever decided to become a burglar, you'd be my boy. You could tip me off to how, when, where to knock over a joint and how much the payoff was going to be. I like that Sheffield job last week.
Detective Ruditsky.
I'm kidding, of course.
I should hope so.
Mr. Banks, how do you think those crooks got their confidential information on the Sheffield job?
Please, Greta. Regent 9970.
Tell me again now, exactly what he said.
Like I told you, Ruditsky asked him a lot of questions about the file cases and then made some flip crack about how the tip-off could have come from him. Well, that scared the little worm half to death, otherwise he never would have called me at that number.
You see the results of your stupidity? Why, you might have involved me.
He ain't gone nowhere.
I prefer not to hear the details. I find the newspapers gruesome enough.
Mr. Pierce, the president of the company, asked me to look in on you, Mrs. Banks.
How very thoughtful of Mr. Pierce to be so concerned over my Henry.
Well, not going to work for 3 days is one thing. Not coming home is something else again. Why didn't you report his being missing to the police?
I don't know. Henry's so funny. He would get mad if I embarrassed him.
You have no idea at all where he might have gone.
No, Henry's never been away even one night. I know it isn't another woman. Do you think it could be like in the moving pictures when a man has insomnia?
No, I wouldn't let my imagination run away with me, Mrs. Banks. But if you should hear from Henry, or if you hear anything, would you telephone me at that number?
Do you think my Henry would leave me for another woman?
Mrs. Banks, would you mind telling me what your husband's salary is?
I guess it's all right. He's making $800 a month now. He had 2 raises in the past year. Do you think that with all this money he's making now, he has run away with another woman?
No, I don't think it's another woman, Mrs. Banks. Thanks. Bye-bye.
I understand you're holding my client, Red Moran, again. You've been moving him about from precinct to precinct. I demand the right to see him.
Well, why don't you go right ahead and do that?
Go away, shyster. The law gives us 72 hours of questioning before we have to book him.
I have here a writ of habeas corpus, and I demand that you lead me to my client.
You're gonna need more than a writ to spring him this time, Counselor.
I'm not interested in your legal opinion, Sergeant Ruditsky.
You ever think what happens to a man who lies to his wife?
What has that to do with my client?
Oh, nothing much, except he's on his way to the electric chair right now.
You're confused, Sergeant.
Am I? Why should Henry Banks tell his wife he's making $800 a month when his salary's only $300?
I couldn't care less.
They fished the body of Henry Banks out of the river yesterday. Your client made one mistake. He didn't tie enough iron onto him.
Maybe you know what you're talking about, but I don't.
You know, this is a funny business we're in. You crack one angle, and all of a sudden you crack them all.
You'll be disappointed if you think your generalities will stand up in court.
If. The saddest word of mice or men.
What do you know about poetry, Sergeant?
If a bookkeeper hadn't lied to his wife, if he hadn't made a personal call through the company switchboard, if the operator didn't keep a record of all personal calls, if the guy who called Red Moran to the telephone hadn't recognized the mugshot.
I refuse to stand here while you play games. Are you refusing to let me see my client?
Go away, you bother us.
If you're still interested, we've held him for over 70 hours already. "23rd Precinct. Well, you can't win them all, Jimmy. Oh, hello, Andy? Barney. Yeah, hold Redmore for about another hour and then throw the bum out on the street. I want him to think we can't hang anything on him. Now, come on. Now, just do as I tell you. Turn him loose, but don't lose him. Right. Bye.
That Ruditsky, he don't know what he's doing. You think he let me out on the street if he had anything on me? Anything?
Oh, it's the doorman. He's got the cab.
Tell him to take the luggage.
Take the luggage.
And you go ahead, my dear.
All right.
I'll be right down.
Parting is such sweet sorrow.
That Daphne. She's a doll. Hey, look, boss, I could use a vacation. Why don't you let me go along with you? I wouldn't get in your way.
I hope you'll do me a favor.
Why, sure, boss. Just name it.
Don't make it any more difficult than it's going to be for me.
You're not gonna...
Go out on the terrace.
Look, Mr. Miller. I haven't done anything that calls for this.
You drew me into your mistakes. Now you're going to free me from any involvement.
I just don't get you.
No greater love hath any man than he lay down his life for another. Get up on the wall.
Look, boss, I'll do anything you say, but please, put down the Roscoe.
Now be a nice fellow. Jump. Don't make me push you.
Look.
Well, what do we got here? The balcony scene from Romeo and Juliet?
I was just getting a laugh from my mouthpiece.
New kind of game?
Yeah, what are you going to do about it?
Sort of like Russian roulette?
I have a license for that. If you have something to say, say it. Otherwise, get out of my apartment.
Button up your lip, shyster, before I smear it all over your lying face.
You said you had your sunbathing things in there.
Oh. Well, that must have just been poetic license, baby. Take him.
Mr. Miller, we aren't going to Bermuda?
Into each life, some rain must fall.
But what am I supposed to do?
If I were you, baby, I wouldn't wait. Your Svengali will get at least 10 to 20. The dumb one will get the chair.
Me? What about me?
I don't know, baby doll, but with your looks, I wouldn't wait. No, sir. I wouldn't wait.
I was fed up on poetry anyway.